What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Showdown video, and in today's video we have my first Gen 9 Pokemon team that I'm pretty excited about. It's basically starring my favorite Pokemon to come out of this generation, which is Paldean Tauros. And if you don't know, I've always wanted a Fire Tauros ever since back in Gen 7 when we got regional variants. I wanted a Fire Tauros so bad. So now I'm glad that we have one in the game, and it's pretty decent. So with Tauros, you get a few abilities. The main ones actually kind of being Intimidate and Anger Point, but Intimidate has gone down in usage mainly because of the items Clear Amulet and Pokemon with Defiant like King Gambit and Annihilate that are running around. You really don't want to be intimidating them and giving them a free attack buff. And Kudshu, while it would be kind of interesting maybe if the Crit Berry was in the game, I don't think Crit Berry is in the game right now, so there's no real point to use Kudshu. But we do have Anger Point, and Anger Point has its uses because Anger Point will boost your attack stat all the way to +6, which means that it's maxed out. And then we do have a way of activating this on the team, but if we do get a straight crit, then it is pretty useful. And basically with this Tauros set, we are going full offense, getting the new move, Raging Bull, which is able to destroy screens, it's a great way to counter Grimmsnarl and other Pokemon that like to reduce their damage. You can just use Raging Bull and destroy their screens. And then we have Flare Blitz for a slightly higher damage option. Raging Bull does become Fire type because we are Fire Tauros, but Flare Blitz is for when you need that slightly higher amount of damage in order to get put out and you really don't care about the recoil. Close Combat is kind of the same way, except instead of recoil, you're getting the damage drop, and it's just the strongest fighting type move. And then for the coverage, you have Rock Slide, which can double on to each opponent and do massive damage, especially to Murkrow, who's one of the most used Pokemon in the format right now, as we'll talk about later. But basically, we're fast and we hit hard with Tauros. And then Tauros's main partner that you could hopefully get in is Meowscarada, one of the most powerful starters. Well, I guess there's only 3 of them, but definitely one of the most powerful starters to come out this generation, having the move Flower Trick, which is a 70 base power move that never misses and always crits. So if you side Flower Trick into Tauros while being a fire type, you resist the hit and you can max out your Anger Point, and if anything is slower than Tauros, it's just gonna die. And then we also have the moves Quick Attack for whenever we need priority reliably instead of Sucker Punch, and that can also make us a normal type to maybe dodge a ghost type move. We also have the move Knock Off, the strong stab dark type power, and then we have Trick Room in order to try and get rid of opponent Trick Rooms. Trick Room is a pretty big problem for this team, mainly being the Indeedee Armarouge lead in, but if you can manage to predict their Trick Room and counter their Trick Room with your own Trick Room, then there is no Trick Room. You could probably go either Overgrow or Protean. Just note that if you get brought down to your Sash before you can Flower Trick on the Tauros, you're going to be doing more Grass type damage, and Flower Trick is really your only move, whereas instead you could turn yourself into a Normal type or a Psychic type, and that might be a little bit more handy. But then you have the Focus Sash so that you can live just one hit, because Meowscarada is very fast, but it is very frail. And then we have the third Pokemon, which I thought was a pretty neat pick, which is Magnezone. Magnezone is pretty good right now, honestly. It's able to take a lot of hits, very bulky Pokemon, but also fire back offensively with the ability Analytic, which if you are the slowest Pokemon in the turn, you get basically a Life Orb for free. And Magnapole really isn't that influential right now with Golden Go able to escape because it's a ghost type, and maybe you could trap in like a King Gambit or something that Terra steals, but even then, if you could see the Magnapole coming, you probably wouldn't Terra Steel anyways. Or you could Sturdy, and Sturdy's just kind of there. But our Magnezone is Terra Flying type, which means that we can dodge the ground type moves if we still have our Terra left, and we have Thunderbolt, Flash Cannon, Terra Blast, and Protect, and leftovers in order to try and keep us in the battle, and take a couple of hits while firing off a couple of pretty powerful ones with our ability. Next up, we have Amoonguss. Now, Amoonguss is a pretty stable Pokemon. I think it's really always going to be. Amoonguss has the full kind of support set with Spore, Pollen Puff, Clear Smog, and Rage Powder in order to deal mainly with Dondozo with the Clear Smog, but also being able to direct things that would want to hit Tauros after you've gotten it set up. Like with Rage Powder, you can take the water type moves and not really care about them. You know, basically just redirect all the single target moves. And with a Rocky Helmet, you can help to mitigate the effect of Mousehold, who might want to Pop Bomb. You could Rage Powder, and then they basically die because of Rocky Helmet, or they get Effect Spored and go to sleep, and that's even funnier. And then we have Murkrow, who is one of the strongest Pokemon right now. Murkrow is the only Pokemon in the game that has the ability Prankster, but also gets access to Tailwind, which is very crucial for increasing our speed and making sure that we're not losing that opposing Tailwind matchup. We have the Eviolite because we are not a fully evolved Pokemon. Honchkrow does not get the ability Prankster, but Murkrow does, so it's a little bit more convenient to do it that way. But we also have Haze for the Dondozo matchup, and we have Quash. If we need to quash an opposing Pokemon, we can slow it down for the turn order and try and KO it that way. And we also have Foul Play, which is just the damage option, and since we're a not fully evolved Pokemon, it's definitely the best way to get off some damage with Murkrow. And then the last Pokemon is honestly pretty fungible. I've gone between a lot of different options. It used to be like Hydreigon in this slot, or Annihilate, and even Sylveon would fill this slot. But basically, this is just the Pokemon that does the damage. It's the Pokemon that holds the Life Orb. There's a lot of options here, but Lycanroc Dusk is just like a fun option to have, honestly. Garchomp might be a little bit better with Life Orb in this spot, but we can make more teams with Garchomp later on. But for a Lycanroc Dusk set, we have the Tough Claws ability and Rock Slide, Accelerock, and Drill Run. Accelerock and Drill Run hitting pretty hard with Life Orb, Tough Claws, and I maxed out attack stat, but we cannot really take a hit. But the goal is to basically hit something that doesn't like being hit super effectively with Rock, and just moving out from there. Alright, so I wanted to go over a battle that I had earlier today as sort of an introduction to the set. This team is using a pretty standard Golden Go, Garchomp, Maushold with the Bramblegast, has the Wind Rider with Murkrow, and then a Flamigo comes in later once it's copied the boost. Team, let's see how I match up into this. So my usual lead is either Tauros Murkrow or Tauros Masquerada or something else that varies. And so what I decided to do is realize that they have gone into what they wanted to get the Tailwind up. So I decided to get my own Tailwind up. They switch into Garchomp, which means that they can resist the Fire-type move that I'm about to drop. But it does a good chip to Garchomp, doing about 30% of its health. I know that Garchomp wants to go for Earthquake. Thankfully, the Murkrow went for Thunder Wave. And that's the nice thing about being a Dark type, is that you're just immune to that. Garchomp went for Earthquake, we resisted it. I went for Foul Play into that slot, just in case they switched, and I'm glad that I did, because they did switch into Garchomp. So now Garchomp is only at 25% of its health. Garchomp decides to protect this turn, which is bad if I remember, because I doubled into that slot, just in case they wanted to preserve their Garchomp. But they did switch Murkrow out for Bramblegast, and Bramblegast got the buff off of its Wind Rider. Bramblegast changes the type so that it doesn't immediately just die to Masquerada, and it kills Masquerada instead with Pounce. And then Murkrow swatched out from Garchomp. So now we're in a bit of a rough spot. They decided to, as you can see, they decided to switch out. They decided to switch out their Bramblegast back into Garchomp. But I decided to Rock Slide on this turn just in case they're going to switch, and thankfully, even though Garchomp resists the hit, it is not going to be able to take two of them. They do paralyze, but this is where my Quash comes in handy, because now Garchomp is the last Pokemon to move in the turn, even though Tauros is slower than it because it is paralyzed. So now they go into their last two Pokemon, and thankfully their Bramblegast is faster than their Flamigo. That might be a bit of a mistake, but you do kind of need the speed. So Flamigo does not copy it, but it doesn't matter here in a sec, because because Murkrow goes for Foul Play into Bramblegast, which kills it, and I had protected previously, and then we Terra Flying in order to fool the Flamigo. Flamigo drops its defenses, but has a White Herb, and then we can just Foul Play, and then Thunderbolt into the Flamigo, and that is going to be the end of that battle. So pretty good use of the team. Definitely didn't get Anger Point up, but there were a couple occasions where I could have tried it if I needed to. I didn't mention it before, but one of the key things to know on this team is that in order to get Magnezone's Analytic to activate, everybody else has to be faster than Magnezone, or at least have a move that can go before Magnezone. So that's one of the main reasons why on a Moongus we have Rage Powder, is because we can Rage Powder and then Magnezone will act after a Moongus, even though it is slower than it. And you have to be careful with the Quashes on Murkrow, because if whatever you Quash goes last in the turn, Magnezone's ability doesn't activate. But of course, there are a lot of scenarios where you need Magnezone to be faster than things, and to give up the damage. Alright, so now let's go into some actual battles and see how we do. We've got one here. This seems like the classic Trick Room setup here. So one thing I didn't mention before is that my Meowscarada is Terra Ghost, mainly so that we can dodge the Fake Out. But Knock Off does not guarantee us the kill on the Girafarig, which is a little disappointing. I think our best option here is to lead Tauros Meowscarada And then we're going to need Murkrow and a Moongus in the back. And we'll see how this goes. Okay, this is the Hariyama Farafrig lead. So they could decide to fake out Meowscarada, and that would be bad. Hariyama wants to fake out, and Fairy Giraffe wants to Trick Room. I could Terra Ghost and Trick Room, and that would guarantee that I cancel that for this turn. Or I could Terra Ghost and Flower Trick Tauros if I think that they're going to be fake outing the Meowscarada slot, and then Tauros has the attack buff, and then we basically just win from there. I think I'm going to Terra Ghost Trick Room just to be safe, and then we can Flare Blitz the Hariyama slot. Okay, they did fake out, so I could have just won there. We Flare Blitz, and now Meowscarada sets up Trick Room, Giraffe sets up Trick Room again. So now we're in a pretty favorable spot where we could just KO the Fairy Giraffe and Flare Blitz here. They might have, well, I guess if they have knockoff, that's really the least of our problems. Let's knock off and Flare Blitz. They might protect on Fairy Giraffe here. That would not be great because Hariyama could knock off Meowscarada, but we have ways to get around that. Okay, we knock off there, it lives, it's a pretty strong Pokemon. We get to Flare Blitz, and then that takes out their Trick Room for the turn, and Hariyama decides to close combat into a Ghost type. Yeah, definitely not the optimal play there. I mean, you could run Covert Cloak on Meowscarada, but I think Terra Ghost is just a little bit more guaranteed. Also, you get to still take at least one hit. Okay, so now Torkoal is coming in, and that's not great. Admittedly, I just want to double into the Torkoal slot. Hey guys, editor's note here. What I definitely should have done is I should have done the actual strat, which is to Flower Trick into Tauros and then just clicked Flare Blitz into Torkoal in Sun. Probably would have just done insane amounts of damage to it, and I wouldn't have had to do the things that I did stupidly here in a second, but yeah, I should have definitely used the strat here. If they have like King Gambit in the back, you know what, actually I'm gonna Flower Trick Hariyama and then swap into Murkrow so that I can change what my man's is Choice Banded into. They're going to Flamethrower Meowscarada. That is really good for us. If they had Eruption there, Murkrow probably dies. Okay, it is King Gambit in the back. We have a pretty safe win. It still depends on what their Terra is. I would say we could double up into the Torkoal slot and Tailwind so that our Among Us is faster. Okay, they do Sucker Punch. They also now we can start putting things to sleep. First one being Torkoal, I think. Foul Blade the King Gambit for a little bit of damage. The goal here is that we need our Murkrow to die. I think it's a little difficult not having a special attacker to break through Torkoal's defenses, but it should be fine. Okay, that was actually kind of optimal. Okay, now Tauros gets to come in. We can just pretty safely Rage Powder and close combat here. They're either going to Terraflying their King Gambit or they're not going to. And Torkoal has been using Flamethrower, which makes me think that it doesn't have Heat Wave. Okay, they decide to Terra Dark. And they have Safety Goggles, because they were able to ignore the Rage Powder. That's how that, yeah, they had Safety Goggles. I was kind of worried about that when I tried to put them asleep. Torkoal woke up in one turn. That's bad. I think we just lose now. Because this shouldn't kill Torkoal in one hit. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's okay. Yeah, just a bad combination there. I think if the King Gambit wasn't safety glasses, we would have been fine. Or safety goggles, we would have been fine. Because then we could have just pollen puffed with Among Us, but that's kind of whatever. Okay, this is an interesting team, mainly because there's Mimikyu, Annihilate, and Gothitelle. I think we have to lead Murkrow. I'm not opposed. We need Meowscarada in order to beat Garganacl, kind of. Let's leave Murkrow Tauros, because they don't really have a way to stop Tailwind going up except for leading with Gothitelle and faking out. The way their team is built reads to me that their Annihilate is Final Gambit Choice Scarf. So I'm going to keep Amoonguss and Magnezone in the back. Okay, they do lead Annihilate Mimikyu, which is very interesting. Mimikyu wants to set up a Trick Room here, and that's a problem, because I don't really have a way to stop that. So I think what I'm going to do is Foul Play. Yeah, they Final Gambit with Annihilate. That's a tad bit annoying. We break the Disguise on Mimikyu, and Mimikyu is going to set up a Trick Room. Okay, now we can go into Magnezone, because Terraflying Magnezone doesn't fear a lot. This is Garganacl that we're talking about now, though. But with Murkrow in here, we can Foul Play Garganacl and Flash Cannon. Depending on, they might just tear Garganacl here into something. Yeah, they tear it into grass. They Sulk here, that's gonna suck as we're a Steel type, but we do a good chunk of damage to it here. And Mimikyu's gonna play rough there, but we live because of Eviolite, but we're not gonna live another hit. So I could just protect with Garganacl here, and that would really stink. I think we need to switch into a Mungus in order to preserve our Murkrow, and then we can Flash Cannon Mimikyu. Okay, they decided to switch out. That's good for us. Optimal turn. Let's go. Flash Cannon, because we move last in the turn, will kill Mimikyu, and Sulk Cure's coming out. They're gonna reveal their last. Oh, these are the last two Pokemon. Okay, so now that you're stuck into this, and both of these, or at least Dragonite, is going to be faster than we're going to be faster than Dragonite. What really scares me is Garganacl going for. I think what really scares me is Garganacl going for Body Press. So I'm gonna go ahead and Rage Powder and Flash Cannon Garganacl. Okay, they decided E-Speed. We're gonna take that hit. They decided Body Press, but they're a Grass type. I forgot about that. Grass types ignore Rage Powder. It's the one thing with Terrestrialization that always catches me off guard. And I think we're about to lose. Okay, E-Speed did 37% to a Mungus, so we can take it again. And I think we have to Foul Play down Dragonite with Murkrow, or else we're done. They're gonna take Rocky Helmet damage. Okay, they do manage to... What? Oh, it was turn order. Wait, why was it... Oh, is E-Speed the same thing as Rage Powder? Oh, well, I'm stupid. Okay, well, I needed to clear... well, wait, who wins? No, they win. Okay, well, this is admittedly not going super well. They have a pretty unique team here. Seems like it's mainly built around Quackavole, which makes me think that they're going to start with Cyclizar and go for Shed Tail. How fast are you again? 190 speed. I think we start Murkrow Tauros here again. We're gonna do a couple things a little differently. The one being, let's have Magnezone in the back, because Magnezone deals with a lot of stuff. And I think Amoonguss is also good here. Okay, they do lead the Cyclizar like I thought they would. If we just no, we can't. Wait, yes, we can. We can quash the Cyclizar and then close combat it, and that guarantees that Shed Tail does not go up this turn. Okay, they decided not to Tailwind with their Murkrow, which is fine. They decided to Brave Bird with their Murkrow. That is a strange choice. Well, now if they have Quaquaval in the back, this gets a little hairy kind of quickly. They decided to bring in their Scizor instead, and we have a much better matchup into Scizor as long as it doesn't have a fighting type move. Tailwinding at this point doesn't really do us any good, so let's Foul Play into Scizor and then protect with Magnezone. Let's see what they want to do. Okay, they Tailwind and then close combat into Murkrow. That is bad for us. I mean, we do get to Foul Play though. They might Bullet Punch with Scizor here, and we don't have a way... Actually, no, we can switch into a Amoonguss, and then Terraflying Thunderbolt into Murkrow. Wow, this Murkrow is really hitting the hurt on. We live that because it's close combat damage. They die because of their Life Orb. We Thunderbolt. Okay, so we basically traded our Terra there for getting 2 KOs. It really depends what their last Mon is here, though. And it's Ditto. And Ditto copies our Magnezone. Pollen Puff through Protect. I don't know if we can. Or we could Rage Powder. Rage Powder is a much better move, actually. But then again, our Magnezone really doesn't have anything to hit this Magnezone. Let's just go ahead and Spore and Protect and see what happens. Oh, they are also Terra Flying. That is bad. Well, actually, no. That's good for us, because now we can use Electric-type moves on them super effectively. And, well, they were faster than us, but now they're not. And they gave up because they can't beat us anymore. Great! So does I haven't experimented with Ditto, but does Ditto copy the Terra of the Pokemon that it's copying? Because I thought Ditto just always had its own Terra, but that seems like a little bit too much of a coincidence for it to be Terra flying. Okay, this team is using 3 starters, a Pincurchin, a Grimmsnarl, and a Dragonite. That kinda irks me. I think the best way to stop what's about to happen is Tauros Meowscarada. Covers a lot of leads. And we can have Magnezone, and maybe, maybe I should lead with Lycanroc. No, let's just have Lycanroc in the back. Okay, they lead Dragonite. Now, Choice Banded E-Speed scares me a lot here, but in case they do that, I'm going to Terra Ghost. They can E-Speed me, bring me down to my Focus Sash. The enemy Quaquaval would also be brought down to Focus Sash. I really don't need Tauros to win a lot of things here. I think the safest option is to Terra Ghost, Flower Trick into the Quaquaval probably has a Sash, right? Do this. Okay, they do Terra Normal. They protect this turn. E-Speed in my Ghost type. Now I'm going to close combat into their normal type, and that does pick up the KO. Great starting turn for us. Okay, so now Crocodile's coming in. We are faster than the Duck with Tauros, so we could just afford to break its Sash here by doing this. Or that's just not a Sash. And now we just look dumb. They're gonna Torch Song into Meowscarada. Not great. I don't have Murkrow in the back, so how do I stop this now? Okay, they have their own Meowscarada coming in here. I'm gonna close combat into that and then quick attack because I think they're about to double KO me here. Quick attack will break the... As long as we can live the hit from whatever the Meowscarada dishes out, because I think they're gonna just Torch Song the Meowscarada again. They low sweep into Tauros. Oh, and that lowers its speed, but we're still faster than the Crocodile. And the Crocodile's just gonna get a KO here with whatever it decides to Torch Song. And now it's at ×2, which is a little worrying. Okay, so I think the best option here is that we need to sack Magnezone and just flat out Rock Slide, and Rock Slide needs to not miss. We get the Rock Slide, it does 76% of its health. Torch Song is resisted, which is good for us. We might be faster than it here. It shouldn't have a spread move, so I think we can just afford to... Wait, no, I can just afford to Accelerock, and Accelerock should kill. They've already used their Terra, they can't Terra out of being a Fire type. We should be good here. Okay, yeah, Accelerock picks up the KO, and we win. Alright, so we're 2-2 now. Ooh, this is a high meta team. This is Hydreigon, Dragonite, Goldengo. I think our best lead is Tauros, Murkrow. And then we can keep Magnezone in the back. But then who do we pick out of our remaining 3? I honestly think Amoonguss is going to be a safer choice. I feel like we might be a little too defensive with this lineup. Yeah, we're a little defensive with this lineup. Annihilate might just Choice Scarf, Final Gambit us. That would be bad. But again, Palafin wants to flip turn us. What we could do is close combat the Palafin. And then the Annihilate does whatever the Annihilate wants to do. Yeah, I think we do that and we see how this goes. Okay, so that picks up the KO on Palafin. We don't need to worry about that later. But now the Annihilate gets the Final Gambit. Okay, that was probably the best outcome out of that. Because now they either have Hydreigon, Dragonite, or Goldengo in the back. And I think Magnezone is pretty favorable into all of those, except maybe Hydreigon. Among Us is here. What is Among Us going to do? Hydreigon could be Terra Fire, which means that I need to Terrestrialize. We could just Terra Flying to try and get rid of Amoonguss. We do have Tailwind up, though. Amoonguss could Terra here, though. If Amoonguss goes Terra Dark... if Amoonguss goes Terra Dark, that's kind of bad. I think the optimal play is to protect and then go for Foul Play into Hydreigon. Okay, they decided not to Terra. They decided to Rage Powder instead. Okay, Hydreigon Heat Waves. That's good for us. We could have gone with the last turn, but this time we're going to Terra Flying into Amoonguss and try to get rid of that. And we're going to Foul Play. Okay, Amoonguss is going to take some Foul Play damage. We're going to take Heat Wave, but Heat Wave is not super effective on us since we Terra Flying. We're going to Terra Blast. That's going to kill Amoonguss, and now we only have Hydreigon left to deal with. Murkrow is burned, though, which is kind of annoying. Again, they could Terra here, and if they Terra Fire, then it's better for me to Thunderbolt. But if they don't, then I look like an idiot. I think I'm just gonna Thunderbolt and... No, let's Protect. I'm gonna ride a lot on them changing into Terra Fire. I'm gonna do this so that we can save our Tailwind. Okay, they decided not to Terra Fire. They did crit Magnezone, though. Okay, we crit them back. Ugh, that's bad. I'm gonna Protect and then Spore. I think we lose now because of that crit on Magnezone. They have to Heat Wave again, I think. They haven't used their Terra yet, which makes me think that they're not Terra Fire, but they've been using Heat Wave, so I don't see why they wouldn't be. Yeah, that's gonna pick up the KO onto a Moongus. If they're max speed on Hydreigon, then they win. Actually, Flash Cannon doesn't do. Yeah, I think we just lose. I'm not stupid, right? They didn't Terra before, did they? No. I'm just gonna Tail and Flash Cannon. I could Quash. I can't Quash them right now because they are a Dark type, but if they Terra out of a Dark type, then that would be ideal. I think I'm gonna Tailwind and hope that I'm faster than them. No, I'm gonna Flash Cannon and then Tailwind and hope that I'm faster than them. We're not faster than them with the Tailwind. That's unfortunate. Yeah, we just lost to the crit. They never used their Terra though, which is so weird, but I guess it's not super unlikely. Alright, well, it does suck to go 2 and 3 on the ladder with this team, especially since I really like it. But, like, all those 3 matches were just so close and hard to call. I mean, also, they could have, like, missed a Heat Wave, and then that would have won us the fight, but the crit Heat Wave really ruined us there. But, yeah, that's my Tauros team. You're probably going to see Tauros coming back around as, like, maybe a Sidemon. Not maybe the main feature of the team, but I think this team's pretty good. Definitely you could swap out Lycanroc for a better Pokemon, though. But I've kind of been trying out a couple of different things. I've been putting off on making this team video for a little bit too long. And obviously it wasn't long enough because I went 2 and 3. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, maybe consider leaving a like on the video and even consider subscribing because both of those things help me out an absolute ton. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next Pokemon Showdown video. Also, Happy New Year. This is my first video of 2023. And we've got a bunch more coming down the pipeline with Gen 9. So look forward to that. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you.